Hello and welcome back to another edition of Cranky Gun Reviews. I promised that I was going to do a benchtop review of my Smith & Wesson Model 3000 shotgun that I recently took out to the range. I figured it was about time to do that, especially since I ordered and received some accessories. So as I stated in my previous video, this stock and the wood on this thing is in exceptionally great condition. It's like lacquer coated or varnished, and there's some cracking in the varnish, but the finish on this thing was so good that I actually had trouble filming it without getting a huge reflection in the wood, and I ended up having to reposition it a whole bunch of times. As you can see here, the bluing and the finish on the receiver itself is not in terrific condition. A lot of it's worn off, but as long as you keep it well oiled, it won't be a problem. Look at the fine checkering on the wood on this gun. It is just immaculate. I think the Smith & Wesson Model 3000 was actually targeted more for sportsmen than it was for police departments or the military. But if you look at the barrel on this, it says POLCYL, possibly means police cylinder on the barrel. Maybe it's a cylinder bore barrel. And it says right on the barrel, made in Japan to Smith & Wesson spec. So this is a pretty cool gun. And again, just look at the tiger striping in the wood on this, that elegant Smith & Wesson logo with that white piece that offsets the color from the stock. Again, just that tiger striping and the finish on the stock is so nice. This is one of those guns I'd never even really heard of until a friend of mine showed it to me, and he offered it to me for sale. It was unique enough that I had to have it, and I'm a sucker for pump action shotguns. I'm really a sucker for defense style shotguns, whether it's a 20-inch barrel with 8-round magazine or 7-round magazine, or an 18.5-inch barrel with a 5-round magazine with a heat shield. I really enjoy trench guns, military guns, and police shotguns, riot shotguns and that type of thing. And this kind of fits the bill for me. It's a short barrel. It's like an 18.5-inch barrel. Currently, it has the standard 4-shot magazine tube or 5-shot, depending on how long the shells are. And with just a little bit of work, I think we can make this shotgun even better. And again, look at that Smith & Wesson insignia. That is just beautiful. Again, just showcasing how nice the finish is on this gun and how nice all the fine detail work is with the insignia, how good the finish on the stock is, and how nice the wood is on this stock. Now, it does have a rubber butt plate, but again, this thing is probably 30 plus years old, so that rubber is a little bit hard. And looking at the front of this, this is similar to a Winchester Model 1200 or a Remington 870 in that if you take the front cap off the magazine tube, you can do some pretty cool stuff with the magazines on this, things like adding a magazine extension to get a couple extra rounds out of it. Well, that's what we're about to do. So what I found was that Choate Tool and Manufacturing makes a whole lot of these magazine extensions, and this particular one adds 2 extra rounds to the magazine because it's an 18.5-inch barrel, and it comes with everything you need. It comes with a new spring, a new follower, the extension tube, and some pretty simple instructions for putting this thing together. It also comes with a clamp that goes between the barrel and the magazine extension to make it a little bit more rigid. So let's go ahead and look at what we need to do. So let's look at all the parts laid out on the table. Here you can see the spring, the follower, the clamp, and the magazine extension itself. Very simple to put on there. You can see that you basically have to take the magazine tube nut off. The new tube screws on there with the new spring and the new follower, and it's very simple to install. Again, this is what it looks like with everything off of the shotgun. Again, pretty simple, very few things that you need to take off, and all the parts laid out on the table here. And we can take a look at the difference between the original parts. So here I have the new spring versus the original spring, and all the parts laid out on the table next to each other. You can see how much longer the new spring is because it needs to hold tension on a lot more rounds. One other thing that I thought was interesting about this Smith & Wesson Model 3000, the similarities between several different guns. The barrel and how the bolt locks into the barrel looks a lot like a Mossberg 500 or 590, but the slide release is actually located in the front of the trigger guard, more like a 870 would have on a Remington. So it's kind of interesting. There's a lot of differences and a lot of similarities between this and other brand shotguns. To me, again, I know it's manufactured by Howa and it's a little bit unique. And finally, you can see that Choate tool magazine extension on the end of this. It extended it out about 6 inches, so now the barrel and the magazine tube are just about the same length. The magazine tube is maybe a half an inch difference from the barrel, but it really changed the look of this gun. One thing I will say though, the finish on the Choate tool machine magazine extension is not nearly as fine as what's on the rest of the shotgun, so it looks a little weird, but I'm willing to accept that for the addition of 2 more rounds. The only other thing about this magazine extension is taking the gun down now requires a little bit more work. You have to take the clamp off the barrel and then remove the magazine extension.